High energy prices only, general business cyclicality, or maybe to greed? Is psychology created by manipulation of media to some extent? I think we have a lot of interesting questions that we can discuss later on. Okay, I see that both John and I are put up as moderators. And we haven't yet discussed in detail how to go about. We have got a lot of questions. So maybe, John, if you could start with the commercial side, and then I will gradually, or in between, take over the lead of the shipping questions.
I can start with a question here, but I think it might be better to switch down to the others here to read a question that they've got. And we've got time. I've got several here. We can get to it toward the end. Okay, John.
Let me just make one point. I have no questions. And I have no answers, actually. But I have 3 questions for our legal expert today. And he had to leave, but I have the names of all the people that asked the questions. So we will get answers to these questions, and we'll get the questions back to you. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Paul, Robert Brian. And I'll answer your question is about how about the handimax, manamax, and pickers discharging it in the Krakatau Bandar Samudra Port Cikading. We working 24 hours a day within 3 ships, and we pickers unloading rate for soybean 10,000 metric ton per day, and for soybean meal 5,000. And I give answer to yourself directly after this meeting. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
I've got a question. When your facility be structurally ready to offer discharge throughput services, as our facility to be ready, commercial start from February 2009, all the construction work to be ready in January. So contractually, we are expecting August, September, somewhere we will release the fees and the rules or contractual details around that. As we have very difficult problem about the legal system there, some details might be delayed, but at least basic policy to be released latest by October. Thank you.
There's one question for me regarding about losses. Is that my presentation covering the losses mainly during the storage? Is there any information regarding what losses during transportation from US to Asia? We do not have the real data, published data about the losses, but several feed mills is receiving the product either in bulk in container. In most of the feed mills, never complain about the losses in weight. They are concerned lately regarding possible of the mycotoxin growing when they are shipping DDG from Iowa, from Midwest of America to Taiwan. There's a study has been conducted recently by Iowa State University to monitor what happened with the mycotoxin level when they leave it the port in US, when they arrive at the port in Taiwan, and when they store it in warehouse in Taiwan for 1 month. But with the moisture content, which is around 12% of DDG, the conclusion made by Iowa State University that's not changing or increasing in mycotoxin level during the shipping from Midwest up to storage in warehouse in Taiwan. That's the only study recently done on mycotoxin in DDG.
Hello, my question is, can you explain in layman terms, what is and how does freight forward agreements work? is this, and does it make sense for FOB importers to explore this as hedge for freight rates? Freight forward agreements work in same as crude oil or probably soybean forward agreements. In that sense, if somebody thinks that a person who is short on freight thinks that the freight rates are going to remain strong or increase, they can always buy forward freights. Makes sense for a FOB importer if he's locked in future commodity imports to also lock in the freight futures if he thinks the freight is going to increase. But having said that, it's a risky thing in itself also. Needs a lot of checks and balances within the team which is handling FFAs. We've seen a lot of people burning hands in the FFA market when the objective becomes to trade and make a profit on FFAs rather than risk physical hedge. So probably it's more suitable for large commodity traders who already have a experience in forward tradings, etc. in grains. For smaller traders, probably time charter is a natural hedge rather than FFAs.
Okay, I have 3 questions, and a couple of them are sort of related, but they're all excellent questions. I'll take the first one first. It's on an average, how many subsamples are taking per container? Subsamples meaning, if you remember the PowerPoint I showed you, there was a person taking the sample on the belt. The way we do it in California, and I'm sorry I can't speak for the whole country, but in my market where I'm at in California, we have the samplers take every time he takes a cut, if it's on a belt sample, that, if you remember the tool, it was an Ellis cup, he throws it into a sieve, we want that sub-sample shaked while he's waiting for the next one. And if there's no insects, he just puts that into a bucket and waits for the next scoop, and he checks those. So it's about 3 to 4. Couple key locations in the Los Angeles area for that question. I would like to be able to stand up here and say it's standardized all the way across the U.S. I just can't speak for that today, anyway. But like I said yesterday, we are continually working to improve the whole system and containers. The next question is, how does FGIS guarantee the prevention of mixed loading at the source of evidence of the problem? Excuse me, I'm having trouble reading this. So the source, so that evidence of the problem will not, could be eliminated, could be totally eliminated at destination. Again, like I said yesterday, the sampler that's taking the sample originally as it's being loaded into the container, his or her job is to check for condition. That meaning an odor or insects or whatever. If they find anything at that time, that container should be set aside and certainly not loaded with another container. So we have to rely on that person, the first person on the spot, to detect or prevent the loading of say there was corn being loaded with soybeans or something. That person has to be the one to tell us that. So that's what that person's job is, and they have instructions and procedures to follow to do the best we can to prevent that. So I hope that answers that question. Third question, sort of related, is for multiple containers for one certificate. How does normally shippers practice? What's the shipper's practice if the certificate does not meet the standard requirement? In this case, they said 50 containers, which have to be rejected by FIGIS for the shipment. Kind of understand that, Bo? I think what you're saying is if it's a multiple container certificate, which they use 50. Remember I said you'll get one certificate for 50. If all those containers that were sampled passed the sub-sample or the initial test for condition, they're all combined together.